Well, hello. Here we go. I guess this is number 5. Uh, this is a long time. And like I said before, we're all really kind of tired of not seeing you guys around. Been talking to Mr. Brown a bunch and the other teachers, and this is rough. Well, uh, today I'm going to talk about a friend of mine, and his name's Lowell. And I've been a friend with Lowell for about 33 years. I literally watched his kids grow up and helped them for years and years and years, and really enjoyed the journey that those guys have had. And like I said, I've known him for about 33 years, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful man. And I knew that he was a veteran. And so when I was working on this thing called the Veterans Forum, where twice a year I get together with a whole bunch of my friends, and we would go and feed these veterans that have kind of messed up a little bit and were in trouble with the law, and the courts gave them a chance to get their act together and help them out. And so we were part of that by being able to feed these people, and it's been quite an honor to do that. And Lowell every single time would show up and help me out, and eventually I talked to him and said, you're a vet. I'm not. I never had the honor to serve, and you know these guys better than I do. And so I turned the reins over to Lowell, and he's done a phenomenal job with the Veterans Forum ever since, as far as the serving of the food twice a year. And the last time we had some time afterwards, I was talking to him, and he started talking about his military service. He served in Vietnam. He was in the Air Force, and he was on a gunship. Those are those ships, the planes that go out over and just rake the enemy with all kinds of fire. And the stories he started telling me were absolutely amazing. And I've known that he was in the Vietnam War, but I didn't know to what extent. And so I've been kind of getting on his grandson just a couple times to get his record down. He needs to tell that story, because there's a project at the Library of Congress to get all the veteran stories recorded and put into the Library of Congress for everybody always to see. And people can go in there right now and see what people have said, and they can find out what these guys did in each of these different military conflicts, because these individual stories are going to get lost, and that's really, really horrible. So it was the Thursday before we got locked out of the school. It was the Thursday before we got locked out of school. I had finished tennis practice with the gals, and had a great time with them and everything else, looking forward to getting ready for the matches next week. And I get home, and I've got a message waiting for me, and it was that Lowell had gone into the hospital. Lowell's had respiratory problems in the past, and so he's a great guy and everything, and I was worried about what had gone on, and his wife was asking for prayers and letting people that knew him well know. And so 2.5 days later, I get a message that Lowell had the honor of being the first person in the Spokane Valley to come down with corona. And he had been in the hospital ever since then and had quite the fight. And by the end of the weekend, he actually was released and he got home. And Lowell is doing much, much better now. Of course, he was immediately quarantined and had to stay home for the 14 days and everything else. But man, when I talked to him right afterwards, he was hurting. This is a serious disease, and I think the world's blessed to make sure and be glad that Lowell made it through this. And I mean, this guy has lived a life, and we need to get it down. So here's the deal. I've been telling you a couple different times while we've been doing this that I want you to get your record down. That, you know, it's 60 years from now. You know, you might want to be telling your grandchildren this. Well, it's not just about you. It's about the future. And when we look at the compare, contrast, and relevance, it might be compare, contrast, and relevance of somebody way down the road. It's that person who's facing a pandemic years from now. The largest loss of life we've ever had in a pandemic was in 1918. You guys kind of took a look at that the first week. And 100 years later, we're having another big pandemic that's locking things down in the world. And maybe these stories need to be told by us so that they can use those later on. And so that's what you guys are going to do. My wife is a beautiful, wonderful gal, and she came across a story on National Public Radio by a gal named Lisa, who's a Welsh person, and she's collecting stories from all around the world about people in unusual historical events. And she's taking these things down, and she put a request out on a story that you can check out right there on the links, and it's only like a 3-minute listen if you put it on, that she's trying to collect everybody's. And she's gotten a lot of people from all over the place, but she's only gotten a couple people from the United States, and bet money on it, she hasn't gotten anybody from a Spokane or a Spokane Valley perspective. But she's collecting these things to archive them so that people will have them forever. So here's your assignment. I put down a link of a couple different eyewitness history things, and I'd like you to take a look at about 10 of those. Choose whatever time period you want, whatever topic you're interested in, and take a look at what people were saying about the times that they lived through. And then I want you to take your story that you have now of what you've been going through the last couple weeks and how your world changed from what you were looking forward to and doing to what you're doing now. And put them down. You can either video record them, you can just take pictures and show. I mean, a lot of pictures from the inside of homes and a lot of empty streets and stuff. Or you can also write them down. And I've put the email of Lisa's down for you to send those things off to her. Once again, it's not just about you. It's about us, and it's about the people in the future as well. It's about comparison, contrast, and relevance. And what we're going through now is going to be very relevant to people in the future. Sorry if this came off a little bit lecture-y. I'm so anxious to get back together with you guys. This video thing, this isn't it. I love seeing your faces, and I think I speak for all the teachers and staff that miss you a lot. So take care of yourselves, and hope to see you very soon. Have a great one.